The biggest dream of any homesteader focused on egg production is hitting maximum profitability from day one, ensuring every penny invested in feed goes exclusively to your future high-yield laying hens. We all know the massive efficiency of industrial birds that let you separate males from females by fluff color the very day they hatch. That's the famous golden ticket of big industry, like those Isa brown layers born from the strategic cross between Rhode Island red roosters and Rhode Island white hens, creating a flawless mechanism that saves tons of feed. However, many producers find their hands tied without access to those heavy foundation lines, or they just don't want to manage the massive feed intake those commercial birds demand. This is where we completely flip the script, taking absolute control of our genetics by utilizing the 16 recognized Leghorn varieties to build our own autosexing powerhouse. Today we're exploring how to combine these master lines to replicate that industrial-scale profitability right in our own coops, breaking down these crosses until we strike absolute genetic gold. Let's begin. To establish a foolproof color sexing program, we need to master the dynamic engine of sex-linked genes, where the male brings the gold gene and the female delivers the silver gene. Our undisputed maternal base is the imposing Silver Leghorn hen, a true masterpiece of avian genetics. Beyond her gorgeous, finely stippled ash-gray plumage, she provides the perfect chromosomal shield by carrying the dominant sex-linked silver gene. The real challenge out in the coop lies in selecting the right male, so the offspring are effortless to tell apart the second they break the shell. The first logical choice for any sharp breeder is to look at the dark brown Leghorn line, harnessing that deep pigmentation to stamp an unmistakable visual difference on the female chicks. This imposing flock sire boasts a majestic presence and promises heavy-hitting results inside the incubator. The dark brown variety isn't just some bird with randomly pigmented feathers walking around the yard. It's been genetically modified over decades with specific selector genes that darken the base of its plumage until it hits intense mahogany or deep chocolate tones. When we introduce this heavy-duty flock sire into our breeding pens alongside our silver hens, the theoretical goal is for the pullets to inherit the unfiltered impact of that gold gene. They should manifest an intense dark brown fluff, while the roosters pop out with a clean light down. The anticipation builds through those 21 days of incubation, imagining hatcher trays packed with chicks we can sort in split seconds without relying on the costly, stressful technique of vent sexing. Looking at the blueprint, it seems we have uncovered the key to dominate replacement bird production with relentless efficiency and speed. Hatch day brings the ultimate trial by fire for any dedicated homesteader, where textbook genetic theory slams directly into the raw reality of the barnyard. The moment you open the hatcher and inspect that first batch of chicks, you immediately notice that the dark brown Leghorn genotype packs a pigmentary punch that completely overpowers our need for quick classification. The female chicks hatch out with a brown down so incredibly dense and deep that it often completely blankets the characteristic dorsal stripes of the wild pattern we usually call the chipmunk design. Even though we manage to identify a few pullets thanks to their overwhelming darkness, the visual uniformity of the hatch begins to wobble dangerously. This massive inconsistency immediately sparks the first serious doubts about the actual effectiveness of deploying this specific crossbreed for any large-scale, high-efficiency production program. The total collapse of this reproductive strategy becomes glaringly obvious the second we start evaluating the newly hatched males under the red glow of the brooder lamp. Instead of presenting themselves with a flawlessly clean, whitish or silvery down as the genetic manuals dictate for the silver gene, these chicks display erratic dark smudges and heavy shadows scattered across their backs and heads. This visual contamination, driven by the strong modifying genes of the dark brown sire, utterly destroys the crisp optical contrast we set out to achieve. The producer suddenly finds themselves stuck at the sorting table, bleeding precious minutes over every single bird. Mixing up smudged males with lighter females results in a messy, inefficient sexing process packed with costly errors that flat-out ruin the expected financial return of the entire poultry project. With that first option tossed aside due to a total lack of visual precision, the eye of the seasoned breeder quickly scans the horizon for another highly attractive alternative inside our purebred catalog. We now lock our sights on the Red Leghorn rooster, a visually spectacular specimen radiating raw vitality, and more importantly, a direct carrier of the highly coveted gold gene. On the surface, this flock sire delivers a solid, uniform, and vibrant red coat that seems tailor-made to inject clear, defined pigmentation into his future daughters, entirely skipping those muddy shadows that wrecked our previous cross. Simple logic suggests that combining this vigorous, scarlet-toned powerhouse with our Silver Leghorn hens should produce a vastly brighter, sharper visual contrast from the exact second those chicks kick their way out of the eggshell. Diving deep into the biological engine driving this specific cross, we must understand that the striking coloration of the Red Leghorn isn't just the product of a standard gold gene. It's heavily fueled by a dominant genetic powerhouse known as the Autosomal Red gene. This unique element acts like a potent natural dye that floods the entire structure of the feathers, creating that solid, majestic appearance in the mature bird we admire out in the breeding pens. By pairing him with the genetic base of the silver hen, we're betting hard that this Autosomal Red gene works in our favor. We're expecting it to brand the pullets with an unmistakable copper tone, while the young roosters inherit the silver gene from their mother to keep them clean. Hopes run high as the nest boxes fill with fertile eggs. The second massive hatch of our genetic experiment arrives carrying the heavy promise of revolutionizing the efficiency of our laying flock selection. The incubator trays explode with life, and the producer gears up for a fast, ruthlessly precise sorting session, putting full faith in the imposing genetic backing of the Red Leghorn. However, the second you scoop up that first handful of chicks under the natural daylight, confusion strikes a massive blow to the breeder's morale. It turns out the Autosomal Red gene has played its own unpredictable hand straight across the fluff of these day-old chicks. The pullets fail to show the sharp, contrasting lines of a true autosexing breed. They completely lack the distinct dorsal stripes that guarantee accurate identification, presenting instead a muddy, washed-out, and heavily diffused tone that blends everything together. The final knockout punch to the viability of this second cross comes from the male chicks, who once again fail to deliver on the promise of hatching with a clean, whitish or silver coat. That aggressive Autosomal Red gene manages to alter the base-down color in the males, staining them with a dull cream or dirty yellowish tone that dangerously mimics the washed-out color of their sisters. The sorting process devolves into a sluggish, confusing, and highly frustrating chore for the breeder, who has to inspect every individual bird, inevitably falling into a margin of error that is completely unacceptable for a streamlined poultry operation. These two combinations prove that injecting dark modifier genes or solid autosomal traits destroys the entire goal of engineering easily sexable pure lines. Facing this frustrating scenario inside the incubation room, plenty of folks might throw in the towel and surrender to the heavy feed costs of raising unsexed flocks. But a hardcore breeder knows Mendelian genetics never lie when you select the absolute right alleles from the breed standard. Scrapping the dark brown variety and the imposing red line cost us precious time, but it handed us a foundational biological lesson on how color modifiers interact across the fluff of day-old chicks. The mystery of replicating the commercial hybrid model using nothing but the pure blood of our Mediterranean birds remains alive in the coop. The ultimate answer is waiting for us, hiding in plain sight among the remaining options in our registry, demanding a closer look at pure, unaltered wild genetics. After witnessing firsthand the absolute chaos that darkening genes and solid dyes trigger inside the incubation room, it's time to shift our focus back to the true ancestral purity of our birds. The answer doesn't require hunting down heavy breeds completely alien to our goal of producing premium-grade white eggs. The solution is alive and kicking right inside the Light Brown Leghorn variety. This extraordinary flock sire doesn't carry any unpredictable modifiers or dominant traits that saturate the plumage in random ways. Instead, he proudly carries the pure, unaltered wild pattern. By preserving these genetics completely intact, this specific male offers us a clean, highly predictable base, making him the ultimate candidate to pair up with our silver hen and unleash the true potential of day-one color sexing. The genetic engine of this specific combination fires up with incredible biological precision the moment we introduce the light brown rooster into the pens with our silver hens. Unlike those previous crosses where rogue modifiers created an absolute visual mess, the sex-linked inheritance here manifests without a single drop of interference across that day-old down. The male brings a clean, sharply defined gold gene backed by the ancestral partridge design, while the female delivers her flawless silver gene. When these two pure bloodlines merge, Mendelian laws instantly start working in our favor, engineering an offspring that leaves zero room for doubt in the breeder's mind. We're practically building a living machine, where visual identification becomes as natural and hard-hitting as the bird's own survival instinct. The true triumph of this strategic planning reveals itself the exact second those pullets break their shells and drop under the heat of the brooder. By inheriting that gold gene from their father alongside the unaltered wild pattern, the females hatch out rocking a beautiful, unmistakable chipmunk design. This natural pattern features a dark brown dorsal stripe that runs perfectly sharp against a highly uniform toasted tan background. You won't find any blurry spots, deceiving shadows, or washed-out tones that might confuse the fast eye of a seasoned producer. Every single future layer carries the undeniable mark of her sex stamped right on her back. This flawless visual cue allows the farmer to sort the pullets out in milliseconds with absolute confidence, sending these future layers straight into the pullet-raising pens. On the opposite side of the genetic scale, the male chicks crown the total success of this cross by hatching out with an appearance that completely contrasts with their sisters. Catching that dominant silver gene straight from the silver hen, these young roosters hit the hatcher trays wearing an incredibly bright, clean, whitish or silvery down. Since they completely lack the chipmunk pattern and show zero traces of that dark residue that ruined our previous batches, the optical contrast against the females is radical and error-free. The producer can spot these males from clear across the room, speeding up the sorting process without any exhaustive physical handling. This delivers that highly sought-after industrial efficiency, maximizing our profit margins by slashing operational costs and wasted time down to the absolute minimum. Mastering this exact combination represents a massive leap toward total independence for our poultry operation, cutting the cord from commercial hatcheries once and for all. We no longer depend on outside suppliers to secure efficient, autosexing replacement lines. Instead, we maintain the permanent capacity to generate highly productive, easily sorted birds right inside our own facilities. This specific cross cures the massive headache of burning expensive concentrate feed, valuable floor space, and daily management time on unproductive males for weeks on end. By separating them on day 0, we funnel every single resource on the farm exclusively toward our future layers. We guarantee that every ounce of grain consumed translates directly into a massive future output of premium white eggs that easily rival any commercial operation. Now, any experienced homesteader knows that true profitability doesn't just rely on an excellent hatch day sorting process. It demands raw physical resilience against brutal weather. Traditional Mediterranean birds, while being formidable laying machines, carry a massive weak point due to those huge single combs they sport. In regions where winters hit hard and temperatures plunge below freezing, that large, fleshy surface becomes a critical heat loss zone and is extremely prone to severe frostbite. A bird suffering from damaged combs immediately drops her feed intake and completely shuts down egg production, compromising the entire flock. This environmental stress strikes a heavy blow to your economic viability, threatening to wipe out all the gains we made through our careful genetic selection. This is exactly where we take a massive step into the elite tier of applied avian genetics, formulating a master combination designed specifically to withstand the harshest winter conditions. We're pairing a rose-comb Light Brown Leghorn rooster with rose-comb Silver Leghorn hens. This physical adaptation acts as a true biological shield against freezing temperatures. By swapping out that vulnerable single comb for a compact structure that hugs tight to the skull, we give the bird an unbeatable advantage in managing body heat. This structural upgrade drastically reduces the exposed skin facing freezing winds, completely preventing frostbite on combs and wattles, guaranteeing her metabolism stays entirely focused on continuous egg production instead of just surviving. The most fascinating aspect of this cold weather variant is that we managed to retain the absolute precision of the early autosexing trait we analyzed earlier, without losing an ounce of visual accuracy. By maintaining the raw purity of both phenotypes, the wild gold gene and the dominant silver gene keep interacting with the exact same pinpoint precision on hatch day. The pullets will continue to hatch wearing that unmistakable high-contrast dark chipmunk pattern, while the males will still show off that immaculate whitish tone that makes their removal effortless. We've successfully merged the staggering industrial efficiency of day 1 classification with extreme winter hardiness. We just engineered the ultimate version of a laying powerhouse capable of thriving and producing, where other commercial lines would simply collapse from the freezing stress. This specialized cross isn't some random backyard experiment. It's a robust, professional-grade solution tailored for breeders looking to maximize yield in geographically challenging environments. By pairing these specific lines, we unlock an extraordinary hybrid vigor that translates into rapid sexual maturity, incredible feed conversion rates, and a relentless laying pace. Basically, we're designing our own biological machine that runs parallel to an industrial line, heavily focused on pumping out white eggs while equipped with its own natural winter shield. The producer who locks down these genetics secures a steady stream of income across all 12 months. You effectively weatherproof your economy against harsh weather while optimizing the return on every single dollar spent on feed bags. Getting to know these recognized varieties of the Mediterranean breed and understanding how their chromosomes interact hands us absolute power over our production systems. We're no longer passive buyers searching for birds that just halfway fit our needs. We become true architects of working lines, capable of shaping specific traits to conquer the unique challenges of our own land. Mastering the interaction between the wild pattern, the dominant silver gene, and the rugged vitality of the rose comb transforms our vision of the farm. We elevate our daily grind into high-performance management, proving that by leveraging ancestral knowledge, we can build superior flocks that guarantee abundance, fierce independence, and unstoppable resilience across any homestead setup. Analyzing the genetic roadmap we traced out in the pens today, it becomes crystal clear that mastering autosexing grants an unbeatable advantage over simple guesswork. While crossing with red or dark brown roosters yielded inconsistent hatches, those imperfect combinations remain invaluable learning tools. They force the producer to sharpen their clinical eye against subtle plumage variations. However, when we aim for absolute excellence, the master cross of the light brown rooster with the rose-comb silver hen is the definitive gold standard. We've built our own autosexing line, equipped to withstand fierce winter weather. Let me know down in the comments which of these crosses you plan to implement first to transform the future of your flock. If this journey through pure and applied genetics helped you take your production to the next level, leave a like and subscribe to the channel right now. Your support is the engine that lets us keep revealing the strategic management secrets big industry prefers to keep locked away. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.